Welcome to The Young and the Restless. I'm Olivia.
I'm Victor.
And I'm Zach. And this is the podcast where the wheels on the bus ain't going anywhere.
Now I lay me down to sleep. I dreamt I had a soul to keep. And if I die before I wake, will that dream just go on for its own sake?
Is it hot in here or am I just pregnant?
You're definitely pregnant. I don't know that it's hot in here.
You pregnant or you're just
sweater
happy
off.
to see me?
Are you pregnant or are you just unhappy to see me is more accurate.
Is that a fetus in your pocket?
Yeah, how's everything going? It always feels like
It's
a silly...
good. We got excited about Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it just feels like a silly question when... I don't know. I guess with pregnancy, things could change rapidly in a week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They
that
sure
is
can.
Maybe it's not a
the
silly
situation.
question.
Yeah.
Not at all.
There's
Yeah.
just something about podcasting where you, have to pretend like you didn't just talk.
Mm.
Or you have to have an exciting life with lots of updates.
Well, pregnancy is great for that because it's a lot of rapid change. Latest is just pain.
So that's
Pain.
great.
Walking is getting hard and oh yeah, we found out that the baby grows exponentially. So I don't know, the other day I was like, oh my God, why am I so much bigger today? And it's oh, we're in the final stretch. Baby is about to put on some pounds.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. I saw an exhibit in a museum in Chicago, of science and technology or something like that.
Mm.
But they
Fetuses in a jar situation.
yeah, well, mounted on a wall like butterflies.
Right.
But I don't think they were real. I think they were replicas to just demonstrate or exemplify, exhibit, if you will, the it went very not quite week to week, but there was a lot of them. And you could see, it looks like a peanut for so long. And then all of a sudden, it looks like a person. And then it starts
Yeah.
looking more and more like a person, very quickly.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. I can't believe I'm allowed to do this.
Shouldn't be legal.
You should need a license, honestly.
Yeah. It is a crazy thing to just be able to do on accident, even in a lot of cases.
I was saying the same thing about driving cars the other day. I was like, if it wasn't really wildly impractical for them to crack down on this, we wouldn't be allowed to get into a vehicle, drive it around. I shouldn't have this much power.
Is this because you crashed your car?
I mean, partially, but I've had that thought before.
No, I have
It's
that.
this is probably the most dangerous thing that anybody does on any given day, but it's they don't want to make public transportation accessible.
Yeah, no, that's part of the reason why public transit is so shitty in LA. I'm paraphrasing a podcast that was paraphrasing somebody that said something about something they read here. So this could not be not true, but it feels very true that the reason public transportation in Los Angeles is so bad is because of GM and big motor companies lobbying to prevent public transit from improving, lobbying against the DOT.
I have heard that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And I've had that thought, constantly, as an intrusive thought while driving on the highway. Well, because
Yeah.
I get really bad highway anxiety, and I don't know how to just think of it as normal. Driving, I mean. You look around, I can't stop thinking about how the earth is a foot below me moving 80 miles per hour. And I'm being propelled forward by tiny explosions wrapped in 2 tons of metal, and people die. Of course they die from this shit every day, all over the place. And people are like, well, I gotta get to work.
I will get sucked into that same line of thinking sometimes, but I do think it makes you a worse driver. I think it's more dangerous to be
for
thinking
sure.
about that stuff.
Yeah, I'm a terrible driver.
Are you ever driving and you just think, if I just don't turn the wheel right now, I will just go off the cliff.
Yeah.
Like,
all the time. Yeah.
what is that?
I mean,
Why do I have that thought all the time?
It's really common.
I'm riddled with intrusive thoughts anyway. But then, yeah, when you're put in a situation that is actually potentially dangerous, but somehow normal or normalized, commonplace.
It's kind of similar to like when you're playing music. Like if you're on stage playing a song, you get like this weird meta awareness of like, wait, I'm doing this. I could stop.
Yes.
I could just stop right now.
Yeah, but if you focus on that, then you do end up stopping, or like,
right, it'll trip you up.
or if you make a mistake, I've done that like 1 or 2 times in the early days where I made a mistake, but because I was thinking of that, like that meta awareness, I did just stop, and then I was like, what do I do now? Say something. You have to like slip into that subliminal kind of acceptance of the situation, or almost like, yeah, autopilot. In order to, then if you make a mistake, you're just like, whoops, and you keep going. You just like move past it, and you don't miss an actual beat. And
yeah, like practicing should be to get you to a place where you can be on autopilot and still get through the song, you know? But then that can get away from you, where like you're fully thinking about something else and then you're not playing well.
Yeah. Yeah, my best performances have been like within that meta awareness, but thinking positively. Like hearing it and being like, this is really good. Like it, like I guess I'm just describing enjoying the moment.
Back to the car thing, I think that the best solution for public transportation is we should all be assigned a city bus. It should be free, but we should each be driving one.
We each are driving our own city bus.
Everybody gets a city bus. The people are happy. We're all driving a lot slower, so it's safer, right?
There's so much storage room.
The car companies are happy because they're just churning out buses. You know, I think it's the real solution.
Yeah. Lyft and Uber would be a steal. That many people in one ride share.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd make a mint.
You've circled back around to just the bus.
Yes, but disrupted. Then you can apply for a special license to drive the train.
Wow, what if we each had our own train? That's doable, right? You can just stack them on top of each other, you know?
I think that's what Musk is working on.
It is a good viewpoint to see the world as a dream.
Have you had any dreams, Zach? You dreaming? You're a dreaming man?
Probably, but the last one was me, and then before that it was Victor, and then before that it was me.
Victor had a dream.
Yeah, and Olivia had a dream.
I did.
Yeah.
But Victor had a dream. Something that I realize is interesting about this dream that you had is that the last dream you had also was you and I like on a date. I wonder what that means. You're dreaming about that.
Okay. Maybe because you never take me out anymore. We're just in a rut. Just do the same old thing now. You know? I don't feel special anymore.
What a negative spin on dreaming about dating your wife.
All right. Let me break out this. I told Olivia I didn't think we'd spend a lot of time on this, and she was like, what are you talking about? You always say that.
Every time.
She really yelled at me.
There's nothing there.
Start throwing stuff.
Yeah. I punched a hole in the wall.
It was really, I was scared. I felt like I had to leave, but I couldn't. She wouldn't let me.
Yeah, no, you're stuck now.
Okay. So Olivia and I were having a fancy dinner in what felt like a house, but was a restaurant. We got there early. It was a nice meal. And I didn't write these details down, but like what I remember is like we were there early. It was like kind of nobody. It was empty-ish, but there were other people eating. I remember there was some situation where like we had to move the tables around, and then I felt like I was sitting like at there was like a long table, and we were each at either end of the long table. Like it was like kind of awkward, but But I remember us having a good time, enjoying the food, and like it was going well. And then at the end of the meal, Olivia like produced like this gift card or whatever. It was like it like and gave it to the waiter, and the waiter was like, "I just want you guys to know that you're doing all this just right. You're doing this the right way." Because I guess we'd gotten there at a good time, and we showed him the gift card at the right time or whatever. It's like he was like, "You're nailing it for this first time here experience." And then we were gonna leave, or like we were done, and I think Olivia like went to the bathroom or something, and then I decided that it was such a cool restaurant that I wanted to like film it. And I think it like turned into me making like a music video. Like that's what I had in mind for it, was it was gonna be like a music video. And so I like took my phone and I tucked it into like the back collar of my shirt, which I think in reality would just film the back of my head, but in the dream it was like I was like hunched down in a way where it was going to be able to like film over like the top of my neck as I was running around through this restaurant. And so I was running around all through the place. I remember like going around a staircase and going back around and going out the front door. And I ran out the front door and there was like a ton of people all in like this big, like it was like a farmhouse lawn kind of situation. It was like a soft hill, and there was a bunch of people in line to get into the restaurant because we'd come early, but all of these people were here for like kind of the normal thing. They had to wait to get in. And I was like running around, I was like weaving through people and stuff. And then I like stopped and I was fumbling around with my phone trying to watch the video that I had just took. It was not cooperating the way that phones usually don't cooperate, where it was like I couldn't quite get the video to play, or I'd see like a snippet and then would do something else. And then I remember while I was messing with my phone trying to get the video to play, I was like hearing a song that I really enjoyed, or like I was enjoying the song, but it wasn't a real song, but it was kind of like it kind of felt like a song by the Strokes, but then like the singer had like kind of a gravelly voice to it. That's sort of the best way I can describe it. But I remember like vibing on this song like at the end of the dream. And I woke up and I was like, oh, that was a cool song.
Do you remember the song in enough detail to like reproduce it?
No. It's never coming back.
You just recalled the genre and timbre.
Yeah. I just remember enjoying it and knowing it wasn't like a real song.
I wish more people out in the world, by the way, would do what that server did, which just that like affirmation, just those words of affirmation. Just by the way, you're doing great. Like if
yeah,
there's
I could
normal,
use that more.
This the way you interact with society, you're just crushing it.
Does anyone, like, maybe this is just a me thing, but I do feel like a little bit of an anxiety going to like a restaurant that I've never been to before. Like I feel like I don't know the lay of the land, or like I don't know like what I'm supposed to do necessarily at a new place.
Yeah, and I always look up the menu ahead of time.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I have to.
Sure, yeah.
It's a vegan.
Right.
To know if I even can. Well, you almost always can eat there, but sometimes it's just like dry toast. But I mean, unless the restaurant is like way out of my wheelhouse, i.e., a nice place, I don't really get that particular anxiety. I'm usually excited to learn a new place.
I feel like I get that less at a nice place. It's like the places where you walk up where it's like, oh, do I like order here at the counter? Oh, I don't know how to, oh, am I supposed to do I tell you what side, or like, that kind of stuff like throws me off. Like the first time in a new place, I feel like you kind of have to, there's like a couple different ways that restaurants operate, and I never know what I'm getting into.
There's a whole section on specifically this in the Unmasking Autism book.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Unless it's foreign, if it's like an ethnic food that I'm not familiar with, especially if it's very authentic and like run by the people from that place, then I get worried about like doing it wrong and like being an ugly American and like making some kind of cultural faux pas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how dim sum is supposed to work.
It just works.
Yeah, I mean, 99 times out of 100, it's just they'll do like they take care of it. It's a restaurant. They're serving, you know, it's almost always going to be fine. But there are like these like micro.
There is the occasional restaurant disaster.
Yeah.
Sometimes everything goes wrong.
Like the first time I had sushi, I didn't know you were supposed to eat it one bite. And I just
Knife and fork at your sushi, like cutting it up in a little bit.
I would pick it up with my hand and take a bite out of it.
And then it falls apart.
Yeah, and I just probably looked like an animal.
I gagged the first time I tried sushi. It was like, you know, there's a lot of flavors that you're not expecting if you haven't tried it before, and it was like a big piece.
Yeah, a lot of them
It
are
was just
big
like my
bites.
mouth was like full of stuff I wasn't used to, and yeah, didn't like it.
Now you're a sushi boy.
Yeah, there's like a very particular like on-ramp for like kind of boring white guys to get into sushi, right? It's like you kind of like you try your California rolls and then you kind of branch out from there. It's like, oh, I like this. It's like, it's sweet. It's got a little sauce on it, you know? Right. And then eventually you're on the hard stuff.
Doing lines of wasabi.
Just snorting sashimi. But yeah, it's interesting that you had the last dream you had was also like a dinner date.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't cook this time, but it still felt homey.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to read the dinner entry and maybe we'll start there.
Cool.
To dream of eating dinner symbolizes what you are thinking or feeling as you reach the end of a phase or last stage of a project, experiencing the end of a situation. Dinner dreams are common when a death is expected, possibly reflecting feelings about a last opportunity to speak to someone while they're alive.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I mean, it does feel like we're like on the edge of like a huge transition. Things will never be the same, you know?
Yeah, it's coming up quick.
Yeah. So like us having dinner together is like, oh, we're moving in like the end of this phase, the moving into the next phase of our relationship.
Didn't you say that when you were filming the music video that there was like you saw like babies or something?
Yeah, I like half recall. I feel like it was like that thing where things are both simultaneously happening and not happening or whatever, you know, it's like there's some jumbled. Yeah, there was some of that going, but I kind of half remember like maybe running with like holding a kid by their hand or something. Like at least when I was like going outside or something. Yeah.
So you're
yeah, a lot of my dreams lately have had like there will be like a stroller in the corner or like there will be like a car seat or something. So I do feel like if that's in your head, then it's probably a clue, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that would make sense that you would tie that. I don't understand how that leap, like as a cultural symbol from dinner to like the end of an era. Yeah, especially death. Like that's sometimes the dream Bible is like it feels very 1-to-1. Like ice means you're frozen, you know, like stagnation, right. Stillness.
Well, but like
but sometimes sometimes it's this like seemingly big leap, but I mean, I guess, you know, you have the Last Supper and like other deeply embedded cultural ideas about dinner, and it's the last meal in the day.
Yeah, I feel like I see that connection. It's like you're wrapping up the day. It's the last thing you do together sometimes, you know?
Yeah, like I think death and change are really connected. And like in tarot, the death card is like, it's mostly about like dramatic change. Big changes are coming, you know? Not like a literal, like, oh, someone's going to die because you got the death card, right? It's like, death is like just a form of change or an example of change. So yeah, I don't know. This doesn't feel negative necessarily to me, the entry, even though it talks about death. And I didn't feel negative during the dream at any point, other than maybe some phone frustration trying to get the video to play.
Yeah, and jumping off that, the tarot symbol. But like, I remember when we talked about the Grim Reaper in Dream Bible, and that was all about change. It could be death, but it's also mostly change and transition, and that makes sense.
No, that's my outlook on death and death symbols as a Scorpio.
Yeah, I mean, what is death besides, my transition into a corpse?
Which feeds the earth, which, creates new life. I tend to believe in, I guess it depends on the stipulations in your will. But I just want to be thrown out a car window, like a banana peel.
Sure.
Like aim for the grass, but if it ends up in the drainage ditch, whatever.
I have another symbol for you that I think is a good Victor symbol. To dream of a waiter or waitress represents an aspect of your personality that caters to others' needs. You or someone else that is doing what someone else asked them to do, doing the work for someone else, or helping when asked.
Wait, how's that a Victor symbol? I'm just kidding.
No, tell me.
Spell it out for us.
Yeah, for any of the new listeners out there.
To dream of filming represents feelings about the process of creating an experience that learns every single thing about a person or situation so that you can remember it. Learning what it's like to experience, understand, or engage with someone or something and remember it later. You said you were maybe like holding a kid's hand while you were filming.
Yeah, it kind of feels like I was and I wasn't, kind of. Yeah.
How do you guys feel / do you even have a stance on the idea of a dream being, like, it makes sense to me that a dream could be about two things or tying two things together subconsciously.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously, if everything we're talking about could definitely point to it being a parenthood dream. But in the same way that there are like you were saying, Olivia, like the stroller in the corner, like this kid, like these tangential sort of like decorations to the dream that or add direction to the dream. There was also like music stuff in there. Like you're trying to film this video and you heard this song that felt that you were vibing with, and your album came out a little bit ago. I don't know how long it took you to make that, or like what stage you're in creatively now. Like if you're working on something new, or if you're just dealing with the postpartum of having put something out, and or if you're like having fun performing it. I don't know where you're at with that, but I could see the subconscious tying those things together.
Yeah, that's interesting. Where I'm at with the music stuff, I haven't been writing a lot recently. I've kind of been sucked into other stuff that I'm working on. And yeah, I feel like, I'm still interested in kind of trying to put my stuff out there a little bit, but it definitely feels like it's wound down. I played a few shows, met a few people, did some stuff, and now it's it just kind of feels like we're in the last stage before the big change of becoming parents. And yeah, so I don't really have any music aspiration stuff going in my head right now. Feels a little weird. It's because that is something that was a part of my identity for a long time, and it still is, but it's also just not where my head is at, so it's weird to feel like that part of me is kind of put away for now, kind of. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess that's what I was trying to explore there, is the relationship, because it
so if there's a winding down, or a transitional end of things, yeah, could be an end or shift away from the music stuff. Yeah, although I don't think I'm ever gonna stop writing music altogether or anything.
Yeah, and if you think of that as like part of the last phase, the last stage of the project, that's like one of the aspects of the project that is coming to an end. The next thing that happens is you're kind of engaging with music, and maybe you're doing that differently, because you have a kid. There was a kid with you when you were doing that. And I think that's something we've talked about, that like, there's gonna be a lot of music in our house. We're gonna be singing silly songs to this kid all the time. But like, the way you engage with music might be different in this new phase. But it kind of sounds like you're saying that music isn't really on your mind as like a thing that is that correct? Like, does that feel like this dream has anything to do with music?
A little bit, yeah. I think at the end, the idea I was trying to film a music video like feels like, I kind of like lazily have tried to do like a little bit of like online promotion stuff for the new album. It's not really something that like
Tame.
my heart's not really in self-promotion, so it's like I've tried a little bit, but
Tame by D.S.er.
Thank you. But yeah, it did feel, it kind of at the very end when I was like fumbling with my phone and I had it in mind that it was a music video and I was like hearing music, it did feel kind of like I was going through the steps of trying to like put out a music promotion thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it did kind of feel that way.
The music entry is interesting. To dream of hearing music represents a theme to the type of emotions you're feeling, a prevailing mood or atmosphere in some aspect of your life. Ask yourself how the music or musician makes you feel while listening to it.
Yeah, definitely. It was like enjoyable. It was reminiscent of something. It's kind of hard to pinpoint. I know I said it was kind of Strokes adjacent, like instrumentally, but like,
Which makes me think like upbeat, up-tempo.
Yeah, it was like
kind of exciting.
Yeah, but not like too exciting, It was like, yeah.
You said you were
good.
vibing with it.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and like if this dream is about like transitions and phases and if like I don't know if necessarily our subconscious is always trying to tell us something in a dream. I feel like it must be always working through something. But I guess that's a subtle difference between like working through something and trying to tell you something. But I don't know. Potentially, maybe I'm just throwing this out there. You're like working through that, the new era that you're entering in, both as a father and where you're putting your creative energy on the, post this thing that you just put out.
Yeah, it's like as you age and just as like life things happen to you, you feel yourself changing as a person and your priorities shifting and the stuff that's important to you gets moved around, and like I think you can sit comfortably with some of those changes, and at the same time there is like kind of a mourning, of like the shift away from like an old self to a new self or something, even if they're good changes. It still feels like, you're moving away. You have to move away from something to move towards something else, right?
And that's something I've been hearing a lot about, like with parenthood, particularly like new moms. There's kind of a grief aspect of like, oh wow, like I'm never getting that life back. And like by the time that I have the freedom to have like a really independent existence again, like it's gonna be a different life. Like that life is over. And it's not that that's like a bad thing, but it's a huge transition and there's like some grief involved sometimes.
And grief is an interesting choice of words there too, because like we were just discussing death as a symbol in the dream entry or in the dinner entry, where that doesn't necessarily mean like the end period. It's like a transition into, it's the end of that day, and then there's another day. You know what I mean? But you still can grieve death, even if it's not the end.
Yeah. It says possibly reflecting feelings about a last opportunity to speak to someone while they're alive. Like I know you had expressed that's kind of how you felt about putting out this album too. Like you, before it came out, like you kind of did have like, you had like an urge to really like put something out and like get it out there now before this big transition. And like now that it's out and like once that was happening, I think you felt really at peace with that, and like it's not as huge of a deal as you thought it was going to be. But that does kind of parallel with that death part of that entry as like a last opportunity.
Yeah, I don't know, but this didn't feel like, to me, the way you described it didn't sound like a grieving or mourning kind of dream. But like maybe my interpretation, not to like push that on you, but just like throwing ideas out.
Totally. Yeah.
Sounded like, to me, like a processing of what you're going to do with that creative inertia next.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, it does feel like, I don't know, this probably, like, this is something that feels like an unhealthy thing that's been in my head for a long time, but I'm like about to be a parent, so I feel like I can vocalize it in a way that maybe I couldn't have before without being taken in a weird way. But like it feels, I have always kind of perceived becoming a parent as like closing a lot of doors. Like a lot of stuff is like off the table now. Like you are committing to, or like it's like a shift into like certain possibilities to me feel closed, which I know isn't true, right? Like a lot of people do a lot, like make great strides in life in all sorts of ways after becoming parents, right? But like in my mind, for some reason, it's always felt like kind of like, okay, well, you're a parent, so this is who you are. You're kind of locked in to whoever you are, whatever you are right now, forever, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why I feel that way, but
Yeah,
I feel like
that part of it's definitely, from my observation, it doesn't seem to be true, but it is a big commitment. I mean, that much is true.
Yeah, it just always felt like suddenly like there's all this possibility, and once you have started a family, that all collapses down into, you know, just whatever you're already doing, right? I don't know why I feel that way, but I've always just kind of felt that. And so as someone that, as I've expressed, is like there's still areas in my life where I want to change things and make progress and like accomplish certain things. And so I think I have to grapple with that, like conflict within myself, you know, of like fighting that irrationality of that feeling that like becoming a parent means like the end of like some of those dreams or some of those ambitions or whatever.
Yeah, because like I was saying a couple of minutes ago, like you were talking about music, like you wanted to get it done, like it was the last opportunity to do it. And like the way you engage with it might be different later, you know, and you might not have as much time for a little while, but like ultimately there's going to be plenty of time for you to do the things you love and the things you're interested in. And I also have that fear of like, okay, you're going to be like, I'm going to be so overwhelmed with this new reality that like growth seems difficult. But at the same time, I keep hearing so much about how like parenthood provides so many opportunities for growth, and like you're going to keep growing and changing and almost like more or in ways that you couldn't have before.
Sounds like it could potentially even like force growth.
I was talking about this a couple episodes ago. Like I'm reading a book that talks about it like from the perspective of individuation, right? Like the Jungian concept. And it's like, it gives you opportunities to either do that or not. Like it's going to like, there's going to be so many opportunities to grow. And a lot of people don't engage with them that way. And I think that's maybe, sorry, I'm like so out of breath. Hang on a second. Like a lot of people are faced with difficult challenges in parenting, and like their kids trigger things for them. And instead of using those as opportunities to grow, they will get triggered and shut down and not engage with that process. But it's like uniquely,
and pass those triggers along.
Yes, totally. Yeah. But it's like, it's an experience that is like uniquely tailored to provide you with so many opportunities to grow, and like,
much like
I don't know,
our dreams.
Right. Exactly. So I don't know. I think all that's to say that like, you're not going to just be the same guy you are right now in parenthood. You know, I feel like we can't even imagine the ways in which things are going to change.
You've also expressed I don't know if debate is the right word, that you've had with yourself about potentially investing time into, you've been kind of vague about it, so I don't know exactly what you're referring to, but you've talked about the risk reward ratio of like investing time into something that could maybe like pay off financially, which sounds like it would be like a similar type of creative energy to making music. But it would be a thing that like would not only improve your life, but like benefit your family. So that I mean, that could be a thing that you're working through in the stream. When that's something I thought of when I said like, maybe this has to do with like where you're going to put that creative energy next.
Yeah. And like kind of, I feel like for a long time, I've been sort of caught between these conflicting impulses where it's like, do I put my energy into like practical, concrete, kind of like slogging through places to put my time and energy to like maybe like upgrade my career a little bit, like jump into like a different job that is maybe more of the same, but maybe pays a little better, or maybe it's like a little more prestigious or whatever. Yeah, it's like, do I put like I've got energy, I want to use my brain, I want to work on stuff and grow stuff, and it's like, do I put my energy into practical place that I know is more likely to have a payoff, but maybe won't land me in a place where I'm a lot happier than I am now? Or do I like chase kind of like pie in the sky sort of pursuits where like, were I to crack it, I feel like I'd be a lot happier than I would be like moving on to like trying to climb the career ladder for 20 or 30 years or whatever.
Can you talk about what those pie in the sky pursuits are, or would you prefer not to?
I mean, like, I've got like one thing that I'd prefer to not get into just because it's boring. But like, I've got one thing I've been working on for a long time that's like kind of a little passion project I'm working on that if I can crack it, could potentially make some money. And it'd be nice for that to work out, but that's probably never going to be like the only thing I'm doing kind of thing.
But like what realm is it in? Like, talking about developing an app you could sell?
Okay, so I have a little bit of like a passion project interest in like it's called like algorithmic trading. That's a thing that like I'm interested in. It sounds real fucking boring. Makes me sound like a weird finance bro, but like I like am interested in like building like little stock predictive models and stuff. Been chugging away at it for forever. Haven't made any goddamn money doing it, but I find it really interesting to like try and, it's like AI stuff to try and like predict like tradable commodities to try and turn a profit, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the reason you've been
boring as hell.
So that's the reason you've been vague about it, not because you had some like proprietary like IP that you were afraid of giving away or anything.
No, it's just gross sounding, you know? I don't know. It's not cool. It's not a cool thing to work on, but I find it really interesting. I find like the AI predictive stuff interesting, and it's like the most like one-to-one way to like use your ability to do that to make money without anyone else being involved or having to talk to anyone else or deal with anyone else. It's just like, oh, if you can figure out a way to do this, you can potentially make some money off of it. And it's like the project of trying to make a thing that's like, that works, basically. I find it really interesting. But like, I don't know. That's like something I like to work on. I took a long break from it. I've come back to it recently. I haven't made any money. I probably never will make any money, but it's interesting. Right. And then like I took a break from it for a while and it was like, okay, well, what am I going to put my energy into now? It's still not going to be anything practical. And then I chased like, you know, half a dozen different ideas for a while, none of which like landed in a place where I felt like, okay, I can really take this to the next level where it's like a real project. It's all just like shit that I'm learning, but I'm not, none of it feels like it's gone in a direction where I'm like going to make any money off of anything. Right. And like, I don't know, then it's like, oh man, am I overly focused on like trying to find a way to make money? But it's like, in my mind, it's like constantly chasing time, but then you're burning time in the pursuit of time, you know? And then it's like, oh, did I spend all of my time chasing time? And then the time was gone before I got the time. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I should probably kill myself. Is that good with you? Would you be cool with that?
No, you're not allowed to do that.
All right.
My wife said no.
All right. Yeah.
That is an exhausting.
Call it off. You happy now, Zach? You know my dirty little secret of the project that I like to work on.
The listeners probably are. Last time this came up, it was probably killing them. They didn't know what the fuck you're talking about, and I got to the bottom of it.
Good job.
am a dream journalist.
Good job.
But from my perspective, hearing this dream and then you talking about this, and if this dream is about like transitions and family and creative energy, like it all makes sense to me. But is it resonating with you as what this dream is potentially about?
Yeah, like I don't know if I'm feeling like any kind of like I think in my conscious mind, my day-to-day life, like yes, there's something real there of like with these projects, right? It's like when I stopped working on this like stock trading thing, I didn't like go like, okay, so now I'm going to buck up and work on like getting my skills up for the job market. What I did was like, oh, can I make a video game? Can I make a board game? Can I learn how to do this? Can I learn? It was all like little like things that would be like really fun to like get like a side business going that's very independent, where I'm involving as few people as possible. Like in my little like dream of like how I like, Zach, you're always chasing like work that you want to do that would feel good, that would like, you know, make you feel like you're not wasting 8 hours of your day or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and for you, that's like working in podcasting and working around interesting people and like doing that. For me, I can work around people. I can deal with people. I can do all those things. I'm like willing to do all those things, but my dream is to never have to talk to anyone ever again. To be able to be in total isolation if I so choose.
Not even
to
Olivia.
Exist. Now, like, I choose to talk to Olivia. I don't want to have any obligatory relationship in my life whatsoever. I want to find some way to take that out of the equation, where I can just do my thing and then talk to the people I want to talk to for fun, socially. So like, those are the kinds of things that I chase. And like, I could theoretically like put my time and energy into continuing to like have a corporate job and do corporate things and deal with corporate stuff and continue to do that. And that would probably be a better use of my time. But my dream, Zach, is to not ever talk to anyone ever again.
I mean, that could come true in retirement either way.
Yeah, right. It's like, how fast can I get to not talking to
He's
anyone
trying to
ever again?
retire early. That's what's going on.
But at what point, Olivia, do you know that you're talking to your husband and not an AI that he came up with to avoid talking to people?
I'm never quite sure.
I mean, it's really interesting. I could talk about it all day. You guys want to talk about, you guys want to talk about like predictive modeling? It's fascinating stuff.
Yeah, now that I've cracked this can of worms, I might as well.
Yeah. Now it's all I'm going to want to talk about on the podcast.
I asked for it.
Yeah. But again, like all the stuff I'm interested in, like anything that's like work independently kind of thing sounds kind of stupid to like anyone you're talking to about it. So it's like, I don't know, maybe I'm just like entertaining myself, giving myself a reason to not do what I need to do and buck up and keep going down the like progressive employment path or whatever. I don't know. Probably I'm wasting my time. So you're all right. Everybody out there that's thinking it, you're correct. I'm wasting my time.
Preemptively defensive.
Yeah. And I'm bitter about it too.
But to bring it back to the dream.
What dream?
I mean, do you feel like he answered the question, Olivia?
No.
But whether or not.
What was the question? About whether it answered it? Yeah, I didn't feel like
whether or not
it was
resonates with this dream, or like.
No, the dream felt fine. I was having a good time in the dream. The dream, I was feeling good about everything.
I don't know that this is about that, because you've had dreams about that. You've had a lot of dreams.
Yeah,
about that.
a lot of my that's like what trash can Willy Wonka or whatever the fuck. That's what that was about.
Redneck
Willy Wonka.
Yeah, there you go.
Trash can Willy Wonka.
I don't know. It was a junkyard. I don't know.
Willie the
like
Grouch.
Oscar the Grouch.
Yeah.
But
Pinch Poke,
yeah,
give me a
no,
Pepsi.
this doesn't like, I don't know. In my actual life, like where I'm actually at is like, I'm not agonizing over any of that stuff. Like I'm like still going to be working on music insofar as it interests me. I'm still going to be working on any project I feel like insofar as it interests me. It's going to slow down for a while when we're like really busy with newborn stuff, but like ultimately I'm still going to be doing the same stuff that I'm doing now, you know. But it does change the equation a little bit of like, well, should I keep chasing pie in the sky stuff, or should I do something else for a while, right? I don't know.
Does that feel what this dream is about, though?
Not really. It felt like, it feels like the transition part is what's connected. That's what I was trying to say. Is like, I'm not feeling stressed about like, oh, I have to give up my music stuff or my like work stuff or any of that stuff. I don't feel that way. I like just feel like what resonates here is the transition part. Is like, oh, I feel like I'm coming to the end of a period. And now I'm like moving into a new phase and I don't quite know what it's going to look like. But I felt very positive about everything during the dream.
I'm curious about like, so a waiter represents like the part of you that like caters to others. I'm curious what you think about that character telling you that we're doing it all right. Like we did the whole thing. We're doing a great job. We got here at the right time.
Yeah, in the context of the dream, it felt like we had like done everything right as far as like being good like people at the restaurant. Does that make sense? Like,
kind of
we were doing
the anxiety that you have of going to a restaurant and not knowing how things work.
Right.
There.
It felt like it was like you handing over like the little coupon thing or the or like the gift card we had or whatever. Like you had timed that appropriately, like you were doing it the right way. You know,
Okay.
I don't know. It's stupid, but yeah, it felt like we had nailed the flow of what we were supposed to do going through the process of being at this restaurant.
We had patroned successfully.
Right. Yeah. As far as what that means, I don't know.
Did we look at restaurant?
I'm not sure.
To dream of a restaurant represents feelings about how easy it is to be served particular feelings or experiences in waking life. Specific types of feelings or experiences that you are choosing to have, consciously making the choice to feel a certain way or to easily have a certain type of experience. The freedom to have a certain type of experience that is always available to you.
I'm not sure I'm getting anything out of that.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the waiter, that definitely paints a picture of what you were saying when you a second ago when you said the dream felt like positive. Like maybe my whole like theory about this being about the crossroads of what you do with like creative energy was a tangent. Maybe that was off base or whatever. If that question like raises different emotions than you had in the dream, and if the ones you had in the dream were more positive,
Well, I think
than what you get
what
out of that
resonates
question.
what resonates for me is that like we're in a transition, like the dinner dreams representing me feeling like me and Olivia are like on the cusp of a big change resonates. Me feeling like traditionally I've had a lot of like stress and anxiety kind of stuff happening in dreams. Lately my dreams have been really positive. I'm feeling good in my dreams. And I think that reflects kind of where I'm at, where I'm in the best place I've ever been. I'm like other versions of Victor in other circumstances would have been terrified at the prospect of becoming a parent, but where I am doing this with Olivia under this current circumstances, I feel great about it. And I don't have any like, I mean, obviously there's like little like practicality stuff. Oh, what am I going to do with like a lack of sleep for a while? Oh, how are we going to deal with such and such? But it's not like an existential kind of anxiety like I could have easily had if like things were not so good, right? So it's like, I think I'm in a really good place about the changes that are coming. And like if that like me trying to like kind of joyfully film like a thing to like use as like a music video at the end of the dinner connects into creative pursuits, I think it connects into how I feel, which is that like, again, like my conception of parenthood is that you have to stop doing the things that you like to do, but I'm not feeling that way. I feel like the stuff that I'm interested in, I'm still very much going to be able to do. I still don't really think I'm going to crack being a rock star here at 32 and going into parenthood. I don't think that's going to happen. You know, I don't know that I'm going to succeed at like any of the stuff that I get interested in and chase for a while or whatever. But I don't think that becoming a parent changes any of it. I think that I'm still going to be able to do what I want to do with my life. Yeah. And I'm where I want to be, doing what I want to do. I'm not feeling like if something doesn't work out, then it's like devastating or my life is over. Like I don't need the music stuff to like really catch fire for me to be happy. I'm happy where I am. I don't need like my board games to turn into like a big like commercial success or something to be happy. I'm happy where I am, and I'm working on the stuff that's fun to work on that I'm interested in, and
so
it's okay if it doesn't go anywhere, you know?
If the dinner at this restaurant is like a transitional point, then it sounds like the waiter is this part of you that is looking at the way you're handling it all, like, you know, on a macro level and being like, hey, you're doing great, buddy.
Sure, that could be. I mean, I am like a like I do kind of default to trying to keep other people happy and trying to serve, I guess. And I don't know. I feel like I am trying to do that to some degree as we like do this transition. I think that's what my role is. Like, is that Olivia's going through this very difficult thing of like being pregnant and soon giving birth. And my job is to like be there and be supportive and be accommodating and be helpful, which is also like for therapy reasons what I'm most comfortable doing. So it's all going good.
One other thing about this dream is like how it seemed like we got there early, and we're kind of like the first people in our friend group to do this. We like know a couple of people who have kids, but it's like we're definitely the first people of the people that we hang out with regularly to do this. And then it was just interesting that when we were leaving the restaurant, there was like a lot of people in line for this experience. I'm wondering if that maybe connects to like there's other people that are kind of on the precipice of a similar transition.
That feels like an apt metaphor.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah. I don't know that like resonates in my soul or anything, but like I can see how you got there. Yeah.
Well, cool.
Yeah. I think I'm done. And I'm mad.
Victor hates this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We should make him dream more.
No. I'm gonna stop mentioning them.
Are you legit mad?
No, I'm not legitimately mad. No, but it just feels vulnerable to talk about this stuff, especially like the project stuff. Just like it just feels very vulnerable because like it's like embarrassing to like talk about your failures, especially like your failed pursuits or whatever. It's like in the same way that like doing the music stuff is embarrassing to a degree, right? It's like
that I can relate to, but the other stuff, I mean,
the other stuff's embarrassing in the same way the music stuff is embarrassing.
It
It's
really
like
doesn't seem like
here I am putting my time and energy into something and like putting myself out there,
failure,
and none of it works out. That's how it feels. It just feels like a long drawn out period of failing at things, and so it makes me uncomfortable to talk about.
Yeah, I don't think other people see it that way. Like, I see that you have astounding determination and like an inexplicable ability to like beat your head against the wall to try and figure something out, and I admire that.
That is my superpower.
Yeah, I find that very admirable, and I think other people do too. And I think you being embarrassed about that and the way you're seeing it is like a really skewed
the word failure
perception of what
the word failure never crossed my mind through this whole conversation because I don't think that's not what failure looks like to me. I mean, failure is, I guess, when you completely stop and say I quit or whatever. But until that happens, every ounce of effort is just part of the process.
Like, honestly, like quitting doesn't even feel like a failure in my like, unless you're like really fucking up your life, you know?
Sure.
Like, it's okay to put things on hold or stop pursuing things. Like, I don't even see that as a failure.
No.
Like,
that's true. Because I was trying to think of an analog to my own life. Like I did stand-up comedy for 6 months before I was.
Didn't everyone?
What?
Said didn't everyone?
Did you live?
Yeah,
I need to hear this.
No, but everyone who did stand-up comedy did it for 6 months.
Every white guy. But that was an example of a concrete example of something in my life where I gave it a college try, and then after 6 months of doing it, I was literally, this was like a golden age in Denver, in the Denver comedy scene. There were literally 3 open mics every night, so I did 3 open mics a night for 6 months, and progressed, got like better at it, but like over the course of that time, I also realized it wasn't for me. I see why I came to understand why I gravitated towards it, what I liked about it, what I got out of it, what I learned from it, and then ultimately concluded it wasn't quite it for me. That wasn't really my calling. But I would have only learned that by doing that. So even though I threw in the towel and I said that wasn't it, that's not really a failure. That is how I just defined it, by trying and quitting. But I actually don't consider that. I consider that a learning experience, and the things that I did learn from it are transferable to the things I continue to do today. So yeah, no,
Yeah.
to Olivia's point, even quitting isn't really necessarily failure.
No, you're right. Like I agree with your perception of yourself in that. It's like, yeah, it's cool that you tried to do that and like that you put yourself out there and like that was a good experience, right? And it's better that you had tried that than that you just like thought about it and never tried anything, you
Right,
know?
'cause then I'd still be thinking about it now.
Yeah. And like for some, like I have a hang up, like I have a thing in my head where it's like the things that I've tried that I should see that way instead, because like the equivalent is like, well, you didn't like blow up as a stand-up. You're not like, you weren't like a huge stand-up comedian or something. I feel like everything that I try, right? Like I feel like anything I try that doesn't land in that place is like embarrassing to like, for me, it's like I'm feeling it as if like I'm like that I waste that like I'm perceived by others as having wasted my time, even though like in my heart I don't feel that way. I feel the way that like you're describing, but when I talk about it, I feel like people are like, oh, look at this asshole. He thought he could do stand up. What a fucking idiot. You know?
That's how
like that's how I feel
at the time.
Ah, yeah.
With retrospectum, it makes sense, but there's nothing more. Like if I can really plug into how I felt at the time, which isn't a useful exercise, but every now and then when I'm trying to fall asleep, I get there. And I remember what it felt like to be a little bit too drunk on a stage on a Wednesday night in front of people who are actively heckling you because of like your ideas, because they just fundamentally disagree with who you are.
Yeah, damn. I mean,
brave.
music is similar. I've
That is a brave thing to do.
Yeah, it is. Like I would be like I've been able to do music and do that comfortably-ish, but like stand up feels like its own kind of, it feels like music is waving your dick around and stand up is showing everyone your asshole. I don't know. It's like they're both real vulnerable.
No, that was very apt. Music is like waving your dick around and then like they have to clap to be polite. And then stand up is showing your asshole and being like, please like me. And then they heckle.
Yeah. But so that's a me thing. That's like I project judgment onto other people when I talk about this stuff. I can't talk about the stuff I've worked on. Olivia just like her eyes got wide and she nodded like
This is the part of you that is like, oh, sorry, excuse me. And then you turn to me and you're like, was I a huge asshole? Like,
I've got a persecution complex. I think everyone hates me and thinks that I'm a fuck up.
you're like the most likable guy. Like, everyone says so. You're fine.
I should
You should try stand
tattoo
up.
that on my forehead. Yeah, I should try stand up. I'm sure people love me. Yeah.
Honestly, I think you'd be pretty good at it.
Yeah.
Well, you love me.
It's called exposure
do.
therapy. You expose yourself to, increasing amounts of shame
Sure.
until you go completely numb.
Actually, that might be good for you.
God, I wish I was numb. I wish I was completely numb. But no, I do feel like we got there with the stuff that resonates. Yeah, I don't know. It does feel like a positive dream. It feels like it's reflecting back at me that I'm feeling good about everything that's happening, you know? I think that a younger version of myself might have been like freaked out by these big changes that we're going through, but like I'm good with it. I'm excited to be a dad, which like 10 years ago, I can't imagine. I would have just been like pissing myself in fear.
Mm-hmm.
But like I'm in a good place for it. I'm in the right place at the right time for this particular baby with this particular person.
Yeah, the idea in a vacuum is terrifying, but with
You've
the right
gotten
person.
increasingly dadlier, like, since we got together.
Since we met, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like pretty quickly, honestly.
Yeah, I just, this is what you wanted.
People talk about, women having a biological clock, but there does seem to be something that happens in a man's body too when you get into your early 30s. The other day I was like, I told Shelby I was going to take a dad nap, which meant that I was going to turn the TV on very loud and sleep on the couch with the brim of my baseball cap over my eyes and a beer on my chest.
Hell yeah.
And if she turned the TV off, I was going to wake up and go, I was watching that. And she was like, you realize you have to have kids for this to be a dad nap. I was like, I don't know. It lives in my heart. So.
Thank you for listening to The Young and the Restless.
You can follow us on social media at The Jung and the Restless Pod and submit your dreams to thejungandtherestlesspod at Gmail.
And as we always say,
That means musical comedy is the taint.
Get you a tiger lily on the moon, and maybe someday we could go there together. For now the clock is screaming, welcome home. Dream forever, dream forever. I thought I had to pee real quick, and it turned into one of those never-ending Austin Powers pees.
I wish I could, like, really pee,
Is that a thing with pregnancy?
It's all like pee-pee. Like, just a little pee-pee all the time.
You can only
There's
pee-pee.
no taking a piss. You know what I mean?
I was just going to say, it's all pee-pee, no piss.